Welcome to Live with Crabtree Coaching Collaborative, your compass for educational excellence. Now, as instructional leaders, we want to avoid that overwhelming sense of burnout and exhaustion because of all of those different competing priorities. We want to avoid our staff members becoming utterly frustrated because they cannot keep up with the demands. And let's face it, we want to avoid just having that lack of confidence because we don't feel like we're making any progress. That's why you're here, right? My name is Alyssa Crabtree, and with over 16 years of experience, I am here to help you gain clarity, amplify your learning like never before, and hone in on intentionality. This is where transformation begins, and excellence is always the standard. Remember, we are in this together, my friends, so let's do this thing.
Greetings, instructional leaders. I hope you are having a wonderful evening. I am joining you tonight from a hotel room, so forgive all the lighting in the background. I'm doing the best I can tonight. But I did want to come on here and tell you a little story about last night. So my husband and I will be going to Vegas, and I'm not really a gambler, but my husband is like, oh, I'm going to be playing some blackjack. Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I understand blackjack. I've played blackjack, but I'm not very good at it. And my husband looks at me and he goes, no offense, Alyssa, but you know, you got to be really good at math to play blackjack. And let's just say math is not my forte yet. I'm working on it, and I am going to become a mathematical genius. However, it takes me a little longer to process things. But when he said this, it really got me to thinking about relevancy and the way that we teach in the classroom. So when I just had a brain fart for a second. You know, when you're in a different place, you go all over. So I was thinking, you know, I have a lot of conversations with principals and instructional coaches and teachers who are frustrated with classroom apathy, with student behaviors. The teachers are competing with cell phones on the daily. And I know that a lot of campuses have now adopted a no cell phone policy, which I think is amazing. Absolutely amazing. However, that's not the case for many schools, and teachers are constantly competing with cell phones. And it's not just an attention thing. So for those who are not in education, I want to tell you 98% of our arguments that occur within the classroom have stemmed some way by a cell phone. And it is rather ridiculous. And so, you know, we're competing with those things. And sometimes it just feels like we cannot catch a break, like we cannot win. And I want to throw out an idea for you, for instructional coaches, principals, curriculum writers, teachers, anyone in education. I want to throw out this idea of relevancy. And I know that we've talked about it before. And as a teacher, this is not a new word. You know, when I began teaching, it was always like, you know, you need to relate to your students. I was always an RLA teacher. And so it was like, find passages that your students find interesting. Let's put books in their hands that are interesting. And I love that. I am 100% for that. But I'm going to challenge us to take it a step further, because we still are experiencing a competition with cell phones, with video games on their computers, especially now that so many are one-to-one. And let's face it, even just, I hate being here mentality. So here is my suggestion. What I am encouraging instructional leaders and curriculum writers, anyone working alongside teachers with planning to do, is to truly break down real world application of their content. Real world. So for instance, right now I am on this balance beam of half businesswoman, half educator. And so as the businesswoman side, and I've only been doing the business for 2 years, been in education for almost 17, I am learning and as that I write more as a businesswoman than I ever did as a writing teacher. And I wrote every day with my students. I modeled writing. I modeled my thinking. I was writing emails, responding to parents, writing newsletters. But even just today, I have written more than what I would normally do. And it is very different writing, especially now in 2024. So let me tell you the types of writing that I did today. I created content for social media. I wrote a lot of captions for scheduled social media posts that will go out. I wrote emails to my email list, and I wrote emails to clients and potential clients. I wrote a LinkedIn newsletter article, and I also wrote, I haven't finished it yet, proposals for conferences that I would like to speak at. And I'm looking at this kind of writing, and I'm like, man, I'm I have struggled with this, and I'm a writing teacher. So how could I revamp the classroom a little bit to get students engaged? One, social media. And I know you might be like, oh, Alyssa, but we're already battling cell phones. I'm going to tell you, we can use other platforms. We don't have to use the legit TikTok, but there are different ways that we can incorporate TikTok videos into our lessons, and students might have to scrutinize the captions, or students might have to write their own captions or create their own content, or maybe they are taking a LinkedIn article and writing a response to it, or maybe they are expressing their opinions about things. And let me tell you, the power of story is here. And so truly teaching students how to tell impactful stories, but we're using what is relevant to them and what jobs they will have in the future. Let's think about it. Our students might want to be taught how to become virtual assistants and write content for creators. They might not want to be creators. They might want to, man, there's just so many opportunities. I can't even think of it. They might want to go into businesses of their own. So many now are able to go into businesses online and how to market it. And so when I think of instruction, now I understand we can't do that 24/7, and it can't be every single day, we're going to incorporate this. But I want to discuss a quick strategy that I would like for you to try sometime this week or next week. Give you a hot minute. So what I am suggesting is, first, sit down with your teachers, your content level teams, and I want you to list all the ways that your content is applicable in the real world today. How is math applicable? Let me tell you, I have done, and I am bound and determined to become a math whiz, because especially now working in a business, I am looking at conversion rates. I am looking at financials, that, financial status. Students need to be taught these things. And I'm not saying, again, I know that percentages are in the TEKS. Or if you're in Texas, TEKS, but in your standards, I know that statistics are in the standards, but how can we revamp it to where kids are truly digging in and getting excited about it? I've already talked a little bit about the English world, but in social media, how can they argue with their parents about politics? Looking at those different branches, or let's analyze and scrutinize systemic concerns in our world or in various systems, even the education system, and how can we combat that, because we know that they love to fight or argue per se. So there's different ways. So first, brainstorm all the ways that this skill, this content is going to help the student in the real world. And then, and I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to be like, oh, but it might be this grade. No. All over, how does it match? Then I want you to look at your grade level standards and match as many as you can. Oh, we could put this here, we could do this, we could do this. And then finally, I want you to host a brainstorming session with your team on various ways that you can incorporate inquiry and exciting topics and exciting platforms to their learning. Because here's what's going to happen, and that what you'll notice is students start to get excited. They're getting pumped about, oh my gosh, let me discover this. Yes, how can we make it relevant to the world that they live in today? And so I just want you to practice with your teams, whether you're a principal, a curriculum coordinator, a teacher leader, an instructional coach. Try this and have this conversation. Like I said, it does not mean every single day you need to incorporate TikTok. Every single day you need to incorporate this. No, I understand the need for direct foundational instruction. However, if we want any kind of prayer to compete with cell phones, computer games, and apathy, sometimes you got to fight fire with fire. And we need to help students understand the relevance so they're excited about their learning. They're creating social media content. They're creating captions and analyzing and scrutinizing. They're telling stories and writing stories. If, again, RLA, but even in social studies, so many opportunities here. So again, I want you to just take this idea, these 3 steps, take them to your teams, take them to your teachers. First, list any kind of relevant application to your content. Like I said earlier, do not overthink it. Just start listing as fast as you can. Get your whole team to do it. Then try to pair up with some standards. Remaining standards that you have, probably even standards where students have not performed well on throughout the year so far. This would be a great way to enrich and get them really into it and intrigued by it. And then finally, brainstorm exciting ways that you can introduce these concepts, these standards to students. It's all about relevancy. And I know that I'm butchering this quote, but we have heard before the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again. We cannot have a curriculum, or we cannot have lesson plans, or we cannot use resources that we used 5 years ago. We need, and this might incite a lot of frustration with you right now. You might be like, well, Alyssa, I can't change every single year. I get that. That is a lot. But that is why we have professional learning communities, because we're stronger together than we are apart. And 2, you take it, you eat the elephant one bite at a time. Start with something small. But if we don't, and we continue to push back and be like, no, they just need to learn how to do this. They just, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And your life is going to be extremely hard, and teachers are going to become even more frustrated and leave the profession. And we want to keep our great teachers. So if you're joining me tonight, one, I want to thank you so much for joining me, for listening to me rant, because this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And like I said earlier, my husband had made the joke about playing poker and, hey, Alyssa, you're not that good because you're not that good at math. Let me tell you, I'm picturing it right now. Picture this. You walk into a classroom and you see a bunch of kids playing blackjack. Now, I'm not picturing like little smoking cigars and wearing the green visor, but finding relevant ways to help them strengthen and understand the concept. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you tonight. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. And I want to hear how you have used this strategy, how you plan on using it, and what were the results. So have a great evening, my friends, and I will talk to you next time.